right, good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us. This webinar is being recorded, and you guys will all receive a copy of it after, and it'll be available for others that weren't able to join us live today as well. We are going to start off with introductions, and then we'll jump into the OK College Start website and ICAP and all these goodies that you need to know about. So I'm Teresa Shackley, and I am the OK College Start coordinator. I have been in this position for 8 years. And before that, I worked in higher education. So I was at a community college. Most of my years there were spent in the financial aid office, but I also did some recruitment and admission and concurrent advising and student activities and campus events. So a little bit of everything on the student activities side or student affairs side. And then I moved over here and have been with OK College Start now for the last several years. And then Asia?
Hello, my name is Asia Patricic, and I started last fall. I came from a high school and I served as the ICAP and college and career coordinator. So I know what it's like completely to be in your shoes, and I'm just ready to give back the way that Teresa has helped me during my time. So I'm excited to work with you all.
All right, so our agenda for today is we have some slides to show you. We're also going to flip over and be in the live website so you can see us navigating that and clicking around. Asia's going to be putting links in the chat as we talk about things. So if you want to click those and open them up as we go, you're welcome to. And then you'll all receive a follow-up email with the recording, with the PowerPoint slides, and then also with those links in the email as well. So if you miss something, don't panic. We're going to get all that to you when we wrap up today as well.
Hey,
So,
Teresa.
yeah.
Your volume is going down. Can't hear you.
Okay, let me see what I can do about that.
Like you started out great, and then now I don't know what happened.
Okay, is that any better?
It's getting better.
A little better? Okay.
That's good.
Okay, keep me posted if it goes out
Yes.
again. Thank you. Me hide all the things so I can see my controls again. Okay. So, Asia's going to be putting links in the chat. If you have questions, you're welcome to put them in the chat as well. And then we'll have a couple places where we pause if you would rather wait and unmute and ask your question. We know it's a lot of information to take in all at once, so don't be afraid to just ask a clarifying question if you need to along the way. But we are just going to jump right in and start talking about what ICAP is. That's kind of the background for why your school is using OK College Start in most cases. So ICAP stands for Individual Career Academic Plan, and it is a graduation requirement for anyone graduating with a standard diploma at a public high school in Oklahoma. The law passed several years ago. It started with a 9th grade class and rolled up, but we are fully entrenched in it and have been for a couple of years now. So every student in grades 9 through 12 at a public high school has ICAP activities that they need to be completing each year. You are welcome to work with younger grades. It's encouraged to have career and post-secondary conversations with younger students, but the requirement that is being checked on during your accreditation visits starts with your 9th graders. So there are some specific things that they are required to do to meet that state minimum requirement. First up is every year, grades 9 through 12, students are required to complete at least one career or interest assessment. We're going to show you there are several choices. Your school probably has already picked some for each year, but that's at least one each year is the requirement. Students are also required to write down goals for what life looks like after high school. Maybe it's an academic goal, could be a career goal, and they will revisit those goals each year and either say, yes, that's still the goal, and here's the progress I'm making, or they can set new goals each year. So that's really about learning the process of looking ahead and thinking about what you're doing now and how that's going to get you to that goal you've set. So they'll interact with that each year. And then also each year in grades 9 through 12, students are to take an intentional sequence of courses, so taking classes they need to graduate, and then tracking the academic progress on those courses. And The idea behind this is to get them a little more involved in the advising piece so they understand why they're taking the classes they're taking and how that fits into the graduation requirements and making sure they're on track, but also thinking about what electives they are choosing and making sure those electives align with their career and education goals as much as possible. We understand not every school has a ton of electives for students to choose among, but classic examples of students that want to be doctors should take as much science and math as they can in high school to be well prepared for the science and math they're going to be taking in college and in medical school. So they are as well prepared as they can be. So that's kind of what that intentional sequence and academic progress, those go closely together. And that's what that's about. So they'll also be updating that each year with what grades they've earned and what classes they're taking this year and next year and updating that plan. And then they are also required to track their scores on college and career ready assessments. This won't necessarily happen every year of high school. So this is just going to be as they have those scores. So maybe that's a 10th grade pre-ACT score. You're definitely going to have a junior ACT score. If they have AP exams, ASVAB scores, any of those pieces, they'll be tracking those on OKcollegestart as well. And then the last piece is something that is only required once in grades 9 through 12. Obviously, more opportunities are great, but at least one experience sometime in high school in either a service learning activity or work-based learning of some type. This can be many different things. So it could be that a student is enrolled in an internship class that they are getting transcript credit for. That would count. It could also be a more informal summer internship they're doing that's not transcripted. That also is work-based learning. It could be a short-term job shadow. Maybe they get to spend an hour or two with someone in the field they're interested in working in. It can also be project-based. It can be within your school walls. Students that want to be teachers, maybe having a chance to job shadow with a teacher in your building. It can be guest speakers coming in, students attending career fairs. There's a wide range. But the idea is just something that is one more step for that student to take into that career field to see if it's really going to be a good fit for them. So again, there's lots of options there, and that's just at least once somewhere in grades 9 through 12. We have a list of those requirements that comes out of the law that dictates ICAP, as well as the list of what that's called on OKcollegestart. So just as an example, the law is going to say you have this education plan with an intentional sequence of courses and you're tracking your academic progress. What the student sees on their OKcollegestart account is the plan of study activity. So we have those lined up for you, and then a reminder about how frequently those requirements need to be completed. So you don't have to keep all those bullet points in your head. We've got a chart for you. If you are new to your school, in most cases, your ICAP is already going to be set up with these activities as the minimum requirements, and then you may have additional ones on top of that that your school has determined they want students to complete. So this is a handy chart if you do look at your list and you want to start removing some activities, making sure you're not removing these minimum requirements. And you can always reach out to us and we can help look at that with you as well. And then we always want to encourage you to make sure you're getting the emails from the State Department of Education about counseling, and any other departments or areas that you are responsible for in your role. So if you visit the State Department of Education's website and scroll to the very bottom, there's a place to enter your email address, and then you get logged in and you can see the list of all the newsletter options. And you want to make sure that you're subscribed to the counselor's newsletter. That's where the college and career readiness updates are going right now. I think there's still a separate option for college and career readiness on the newsletters. You're welcome to check that as well. But I would definitely make sure you have selected the counselor's newsletter. Even if that's not your title, go ahead and have that box checked so you can get that newsletter. We are not anticipating any big changes with ICAP, but that's where those would come. And then there's always lots of information in there to support your work-based learning experiences work. That all comes through the counselor's newsletter as well. So definitely, if you're not already receiving that, make sure you get signed up there. And then while you're in there, look around and see if there are any other newsletters that you need to get signed up for. So that's what ICAP is from big picture, what the requirement is and what your students will be doing. OK College Start is the free college and career readiness website that is provided to all Oklahomans by the Oklahoma State Regents for Higher Education and the Oklahoma College Assistance Program. So everything we show you today is free to your school. There are some additional services and features that your school can purchase on top of what we provide statewide. And so if you're in a larger district, that may have already happened for some of your account management pieces. And we'll talk a little more about those as we go today, but just know that everything you need, regardless of your school size, everything you need to customize your ICAP and set it up and get it all created and have your students all logging in, that's all free to you. And there are other options that your school can use for ICAP as well. So we are the free option through the state regents for higher ed. The career tech system also has an option that's free to schools. That's okcareerguide.org. And then some districts choose to purchase Naviance or School Links or some other paid platform as well. All of those options are available to you, and your school is welcome to, choose whatever's best for you. So OK College Start, though, is what we're focusing on today and what we're sharing with you, and that's what Asia and I work with each day. So on OK College Start, as I mentioned, it's available to anyone in Oklahoma. Mostly things are written at about a 5th grade reading level, or is kind of the minimum what you're looking for. So we don't have a ton of elementary students with accounts on OK College Start, but middle school into high school, post-secondary, career tech and college students, adults, parents, there's resources for everyone all the way up. We also have Google Translate built in. So on the top of the web page, there's a little flag and you can translate all the text into over 100 different languages. And it is set up to work on phones, tablets, desktop, laptop, any browser. If you run into any issues, let us know, but it's designed to work everywhere. So anywhere a student can get on the internet, they can get into their OK College Start account. And then the Oklahoma's Promise application is technically built into OK College Start. It runs behind OK College Start. So students can use their existing OK College Start account to start that application and submit that application. It also does not hurt anything if they go straight to the Oklahoma's Promise website and start an application there, start an account there and do that. That's not going to hurt anything if that's how they get to it. But just so you're aware, it is already built into OK College Start. And then we also have built-in accessibility features. It doesn't have a screen reader, which I know sometimes is something that would be handy for you guys. The website itself does not have a screen reader, but it does have contrast options. It has font size choices. You can change the font itself. So there are a couple of different things that are already built in. And then if a student is using a screen reader through the browser or through another platform, it's all accessible. The website's fully accessible. And so it will allow them to navigate using that screen reader easily. A couple of things off the top, because we know the first thing that will happen when you're ready to jump into this is what are the usernames, and nobody knows their passwords because that is just how life works. So we wanted to just address that off the top. Usernames on OK College Start can be a variety of things. Some schools have created accounts for students and chosen a standard format, and so you're going to find that all of your students' usernames are maybe their full school email address, or maybe it's their date of birth and their last name. We'll show you there's a couple different formats it could be during that batch process. Students can also create their own accounts, and some schools have gone that route. And so then, of course, it could be whatever they set up. You may have a little bit of a mixture. So We'll show you as we progress through the website today where you can see the current usernames for your students. We also want you to know that we can change those on our end. So if you look at your list and it's kind of a mix and you just want everyone's username to be their school email address, so it's cleaner, email us, let us know, and we'll work through that process with you and get those updated. Same thing for passwords. We can't see their current password. You can't see the current password, but we have lots of password reset options. So we'll show you where you can go reset an individual password for a student if you just have one or two that need that reset. But we can also do a mass password reset. It takes a couple days. So you want to just let us know a few days before you're ready to get started on your ICAP. And we can say, okay, we want to take all of the senior accounts and reset their password to be Eagles. And then you get to decide if it should prompt them to then set their own, or if you just want to leave it at Eagles permanently. We can do that as well. And we can do different passwords for different grades. We can work through all those options with you. So if you aren't sure what your passwords are and or maybe you know, but you want a clean slate this year, just keep us posted. Again, you can contact us or customer support directly and we can get that process going. So again, we'll talk some more about that when we get into the websites, but we wanted to just name that off the top. And then the next few slides are giving you a preview of the ICAP. And then I'm going to get into the live website and show you some of these pieces as well. But I just wanted to show you off the top what it looks like. If you are returning, you may be feeling sad or upset that the homepage changed. I know it's hard when anything changes on the website, but I think this trade-off is worth it. We hope that you agree. So that first homepage is different. That has been updated. The pictures are different, but the same links all are down below for helpful resources, getting to, some of the other pages really quickly. That's all still there on the homepage. What has moved are the tabs used to be across the top for high school planning, college planning. Those are over on the left side now. But within that, everything's still in the same section, in the same order. Their icons have just moved over to the left. Once a student gets logged in, this is what they are going to see. So their ICAP is immediately right there at the top. I want to say they can't miss it. I know some of them will find a way to miss that somehow, but for the most part, they can't miss it. It's going to be right there at the top. And then another new piece that we're very excited about is over on that left-hand side that's always visible with those sections, they will now see the activities icon that shows them how many activities they still have assigned for the current year. And that's visible on any page. So as students do ICAP activities, they click around the website, they're exploring things, they will always be seeing that icon to get back to their ICAP immediately. So we think that'll be a great tool to help help students move through the website a little more smoothly when they're working on different ICAP activities. And then you can see again, we still have all the helpful links and resources that were on the old homepage as well. So students will either click on, in this example where it says Oklahoma ICAP template, yours is likely going to be customized to have your school's name there or whatever you're calling your ICAP. Some schools don't call it ICAP. So whatever you're calling yours, that will be there and they can click on it or they can point to that activities icon and get to it that way. But this is what they will see. So these pages have not changed. That look is still the same if you are returning. So they will see that progress bar again across the top of the page, showing them their progress for the current year. And then each activity has its own bullet point. If it's incomplete, the student will see this blue banner across the top. And then as they complete activities, the progress bar fills in, that banner turns green and shows the completion date off to the right instead of the prompt for them to complete the activity. So all of this is still the same. There's also a little check mark. It's yellow on the right side of the screen that they can click and it'll pop out a little sidebar and list each activity that they have as well. That's helpful if you have a lot of ICAP activities. Otherwise, they can usually just kind of scroll down the page and see those 3 or 4 or 5 activities you have assigned. So lots of options for them to really quickly see what's done and what's not done so they can finish up and get that progress bar to 100%. So some of the activities you will see frequently with your students are going to be the assessments. So we have 6 different options that are built into OK College Start that are career and interest assessments. This will vary from school to school. In general, most schools start with interest profiler in 9th grade, then career cluster survey in 10th grade, basic skills in 11th grade, and then either work values or the career key for their seniors. It's okay if yours is different than that. They do not have to be in that order, but that's kind of the general order. The transferable skills checklist is also available. It was designed for adults that have been in a field and are looking to change careers. And so thinking through what skills they already have and then what other careers they might not be aware of that would be a good match for those skills. So you can certainly have students take that, but it was not initially designed for high school students. These are all available to students at any time, and they can take them as many times as they want. So even if your school has said, we're gonna have 9th graders take the interest profiler, it's not assigned on the ICAP pages for 10, 11, 12, students can still come take it as many times as they want. And it's just gonna automatically store those results in here, and that's not gonna hurt anything. So they can definitely explore outside of ICAP, and we'll show you some of that as well. Each assessment looks a little different. Some of them are going to be check boxes. Some of them have like a Likert scale to rank how they feel about the topic being presented. But all of them will have a start button. They'll answer the questions that they see on the screen, and then they'll get a results page. So this is the career cluster survey, just showing you that it, gave the student the top cluster. If it's really close, it'll show them 2, and then ranks all of the career clusters so they can kind of see where those different pieces fall. Everything on the website is connected, so they can click on any of those and go deeper, and I'll show you what those pages look like when we flip over to the live website here in just a minute. But this is what you'll be expecting to see as students are completing those different assessments. You'll also see the My Goals and Action Plans activity, since that's required each year. So students will click that they want to set a goal. They'll enter just a quick sentence about what that goal is. They can put if it's a short-term or long-term goal. They get to say if it's academic, personal, or career related. And then that's all that's actually required. If they hit add at the end of that, it will mark the activity complete. They can work through the steps of, is this a SMART goal? And they can also add specific action plan steps, even with due dates, or come back and say, I completed that step, or it's in progress. So they can do a deeper dive into goal setting, but as long as they've entered the goal and picked the type and the time frame, it will let them hit add and move forward. And this will hold that information year to year. So your freshmen are going to enter a goal on day 1 of their sophomore year. They're going to see that goal, but they will see that the activity is incomplete for their sophomore year because they need to update it and either say, yes, that's still the plan, or no, I want to set a new goal, and they can add additional ones. So it will make them interact with it each year so that they're meeting the state requirement to do that, to interact with it. Plan of study is the activity that I'll just warn you now, you will probably hear the most grumbles about because it's the longest activity for them to complete. It's not difficult, but it is multiple steps, and I know sometimes that's hard. But this is what it looks like for students, and so they will create a plan. They'll see their 9 through 12 columns, and the rows have the subject areas, and they are putting in what they are currently enrolled in and what they plan to take in the future. Schools choose to do this a little differently. Some schools just have them enter, I'm in 9th grade, I'm going to put just my 9th grade classes and leave the rest of it blank. That's okay. Some schools also prefer to have students go ahead and fill in all 4 years planning ahead and get all of their credits listed, and then they just make the minor updates year to year. Either way is acceptable, whatever works best for your district. And we'll talk more about this, but there are some pieces of this that can be customized to make this easier for you. So if you are returning and this is a pain point, stick around here toward the end of the presentation, we're going to talk about how you customize those things to make that a little smoother. And then for test scores, most of them look a lot like this. A couple of them still have kind of a little slide scale that the student will drag the bar across to enter their scores. But they all have essentially the same plan or the same concept. They can put the date they took the test or the month and year, and then enter their scores. And one thing to keep in mind with the plan of study and test scores is this is a planning tool for students. It's not an official record. And so if you notice that a student they got a 21 on their ACT and they really got a 20, that's okay. Ideally it's accurate for them to look back at, but it's not an official record. And so you do not have to make sure it's exactly matching what's on your transcript. Your transcript is still the official record of all these pieces. And then for work-based learning, they will have a drop-down box that they get to pick what type of activity they completed. It's going to let them put in, the name of the event, when it happened. There's a space if they want to include contact information. And then it will require something in the description and reflection box. It doesn't have to be super long, but just a couple of sentences describing the event and then thinking about what they learned. Did this experience show me that I do want to work in this career field, or did I learn that maybe this isn't a good fit and I want to go try something else? Just a quick reflection is what they'll be entering there for that work-based learning. So those are the ICAP requirements that you're going to see the most. There are many other things on OKcollegestart, and so I'm going to log into a sample student account and show you around a little bit and show you some of the pieces that are there beyond the ICAP. So as you saw in the screenshot, we have the ICAP right here that the student can click on, or they have the activities bar that pops out. This student has completed a couple of things, but not everything. What the ICAP has done is taken all these activities throughout the website, and your school has picked out the ones that you are focusing on, that you need reporting for, that you want to make sure they are getting done, but they have access to everything along here. So for example, in the career planning, learn about yourself is where the 6 assessments are. We also have moved directions after high school in the career clusters map in here. So some of you may have used those with middle school students before, and they were kind of hard to get to. So they are in here now with the career planning. Directions after high school allows the student to explore what the choices are. So, okay, everybody keeps telling me I have to do something after high school. What are my choices? So this is slow to load this morning, but it's going to open up and show the sort of 6 broad categories. You can go to a 2-year college, you can go to a 4-year college, you can go straight to work, you could join the military, you could go to career tech, or you could complete an apprenticeship. And something always has to not load, so I will just show you here what that looks like. So those are the 6 options. And then when they click on each one of them, they have some different tiles they can read through. It's all just 1 or 2 sentences. They can see a couple of programs, and these all have a rating system, so they can mark how many stars they are interested in this particular choice. And then same thing for the career clusters map. See if it will load for us. This takes the 17 career clusters that Oklahoma uses to organize all of the jobs and allows them to explore each one and again, kind of get a couple of sentences about what it means if we're talking about jobs in business management and administration. What does that mean to a student? These 2 pieces, and it has the rating system as well. These last 2 pieces I showed you were initially built for middle school students. It doesn't say that anywhere, so you're welcome to use them, and you can even assign these on your ICAP if you want students to have to come through and put the rating in for each one. But it's just kind of a great way to introduce the whole concept.
Teresa, I have a question.
Yeah.
Chesley Graham from Great Plains in Lawton. Was it intentional to kind of keep the information short as a way to keep students engaged. Um,
Yeah, yes, and just because it was built as an introduction. So if you think you've got a brand new sixth grader that you're starting to talk about careers and post-secondary education, like just trying to keep it very simple and to the point. This is kind of where you're getting started with all of these conversations that are going to continue happening throughout high school. Yeah. I am going to show you the Explore Careers section now. So as I mentioned, everything's connected on the website. So if a student's taking the career cluster survey, they get to their results and they click on a career, they're getting into a career profile that way. They can also come here to the career planning tab, explore careers, and either type in the name of a career. They can look at the whole list. They can see what are the critical occupations in Oklahoma. This is new this year. So they can say, you know, I want to do something in finance. Well, here are some of the top most critical occupations in Oklahoma, and they can click and get to a profile that way. Um, or they can also, I'm going to back up here on this page where I was, we also just have them sorted by the cluster. So if they kind of know what they're interested in, they can come to it that way. So however they get to these career profiles, they each look a little different, but this is the general view of what you're going to be seeing. So there's a little bit of information just at the top. Not every single career has a video, but a lot of them do. There's, I think, over 900 videos for different careers. Below that, there's basically a job description, kind of a bullet point list of what they would be doing in that field. And then over here on the right, they can work through these different links. And for is this for you and skills needed, what it's doing is comparing the student's interest from their assessments to the career field. So they can kind of see, does that line up pretty well? In this case, it does. Or, you know, well, that's very different. I might really need to think about whether that's a good fit or not. So it compares all 6 of those assessments between these two links here. They can click on what to learn to find out if they need training beyond high school, or is it something they go straight to work and get on the job training? Does it require a career tech certificate or a PhD? They can kind of get an idea for that. And they could click on this and then they can see the list of what they'd be learning in that degree program and what institutions offer that degree program across the country. So they can just kind of keep digging deeper into this. Money and Outlook is always the most popular for students. They want to know what they can earn. And so it will show them some Oklahoma income information. If it's a large enough career field, sometimes it's even broken down by region. You know, you're in the Tulsa area, you're in the Lawton area. What's the difference there? They can also pick other states. It's going to default to Oklahoma, but they could pick other states and see how those wages compare. And then there's some national earnings information, as well as is this a field that's growing and there will be more jobs open, or is this a field that is shrinking and it's going to be tough to find jobs in the future? So they can get a lot of information there. Connections is going to be state and national organizations for that career field that they might want to, you know, pursue further if they're really interested in the field they're looking at. There are interviews with people that work in the field. And then real life activities has math, decision making, and communication in these jobs. So if you've got a student who just says, why am I ever taking math? Go look at the career you want and see what the real life math activity is. It's going to give them a scenario kind of when they might be using math, and they can see a suggested solution within that field. Also on these career profiles, if there's a military career associated with this, it would be a link here as well, and they would see what it's called if it has a different name in the military versus civilian employment, and what branches those positions are available in, so they can get some more information there. The last piece of the career planning resources outside of those ICAP activities we'd show you is the resume and cover letter, thank you letter. There's job interview practice questions. So you can assign these pieces as part of your ICAP or just direct students to them outside of that ICAP list. but it helps them, build their resume and get it formatted. And then they can come back and update that anytime. So we're going to jump over to high school quickly. This is where the plan of study lives. There are some websites to helpful homework tips and time management, skill building kind of things. And then our high school planning timelines were updated and redesigned this year. So we have 6th grade all the way through college, freshmen, where students can click and see kind of what things they could be doing this year. It has links to those pieces either within OKcollegestart or sometimes it's to outside websites. And then for those of you that are familiar with You Can Go To resources, those checklists are the same. Our content matches up here, and those will be coming soon here at the bottom. So if you wanted to print a copy, you would be able to do that from this page. So OKcollegestart, they can just kind of read through it, or they'll be able to click that to print a checklist in the near future. And then college planning is home to a ton of resources. They can explore post-secondary school profiles. So again, kind of getting to this from a couple different ways. They can search by name, or they can click through the categories. Just give you a quick look. These are available for colleges and career techs, public and private, nationwide. So it's not just Oklahoma schools, it's universities and colleges and career techs across the country. So they can scroll down the page and learn a little bit about what type of, is it a small town or a large town? There's links to the website, demographic information, school size, how difficult it is to be accepted. There's going to be a list of the academic criteria. So do I have to do an interview to be accepted to this institution? Average GPA, class size. They can see a list of all the degree programs offered by the school, or they can search by name if they're looking for a specific program. There will be a little more information about cost beyond just tuition and fees, but what kind of housing expenses are students looking at? Demographics, what scholarships and sports are available at a school, and then kind of campus activities, where do students spend their time, services that are available to students. I know I'm going through this very quickly, but I just wanted you to see there's a lot in there on those school profiles. So they can really do a deep dive there. This is also where they can get to the Oklahoma's Promise application. It's also linked like on the homepage. And like I said, they can go straight through the OK Promise website as well. We also have some test prep links. So students will see this in middle school and high school, and then their account is theirs for life. So even after they graduate with you, even if you shut down their school email address, they can still use that as the username to keep logging in here. And this test prep changes a little bit once they finish high school to add in some grad school test prep as well. But in the meantime, all of these will link out to free test prep resources across the internet. And then also on the college planning, just so you know this exists, OKcollegestart houses information about various things that are not ICAP specific. So for example, concurrent enrollment lives on OKcollegestart. And so it's also on the homepage. A link to it's on the homepage as well. But if you or a student is just looking for general information about how concurrent works, or who they should contact, or what are the admission requirements, all of that lives on OKcollegestart too. And you don't have to be logged in to get to test prep or the concurrent enrollment or several of these pages. You don't have to be logged in. Same for financial aid. A lot of this can be accessed without logging in. So we have a ton of pages kind of just breaking down what is financial aid, what's a financial aid offer, how do I apply, what do I do if I don't know what I'm doing, kind of where do I start? So we have a ton of information about financial aid. As well as a scholarship search where they can come in and basically fill in a profile about themselves. When are you graduating? What are you interested in? Do you have any special circumstances? They can even put in test scores and grades, and it will search through our database that has over 20,000 scholarships in it from across the country. They've are all vetted each year to make sure they're still current and they are still accepting applications and they're not asking for anything inappropriate. And so this will show them the award opportunities that they qualify for based on their answers that are open right now. And so you can see I've got a couple old ones in here, and now I can see I have a new one that's in my match list since the last time I was here. It tells them a little bit about it and then has the link out to that application. So it can really kind of just do all the work for them if you need it to, or if they're looking for scholarships. So that is a lot of information. There's much more on the website, but those are some of the high points. I'm going to pause quickly here. Asia, are there any questions about the student side of the website that we need to talk about?
Yes, there are a couple. One is asking if students will be able to apply for FAFSA through OKcollegestart, and if we know if the feature will be added.
So the FAFSA application will be separate always because it's a federal student aid Department of Education account, and that account is like running through the Social Security Administration to make sure they are who they say they are. Much higher security than OKcollegestart. We do link to the FAFSA in many places. Basically, every page about financial aid at the bottom is going to have a link to the FAFSA and also to the Oklahoma's Promise application. So we link to it heavily. You have a spot on your ICAP. You can add an activity for the FAFSA that is student self-reporting. So they would just be saying, yes, I already filled it out. No, I'm not planning to fill it out. If you wanted that on your ICAP as kind of a reminder or a prompt for your seniors. But right now, there's no plan for that official completion data to fill in on the ICAP. And it's because of security reasons, essentially. For us to transfer that back into OKcollegestart, it's not really an option. It's a great
Thank
question,
you.
though. Yes.
And then a second one is asking a link for test prep for the naturalization test, since it is a requirement now.
Okay, we will. That's a great idea. I'm going to write that down right now. We'll see if that's something we can get added. Thank you for that suggestion. Anything else?
Nope, we're good at the moment.
Okay. So I am going to show you a couple slides about the Pro Center, and then we'll look at that live as well. Oh, get out of that. I didn't want you to have to watch all those slides again. Here we go. Okay, so the Professional Center is where you log in to customize the website, run reports, track student progress. That's where you're going to be logging in. It's a separate website. So if you go to okcollegestart.org, your login doesn't work there. That's the student side. You are headed to procenter.okcollegestart.org, and it looks like this. There's usually some words and announcements on top of that blue side on the right, but it's a totally separate website. The first time you log in, you do need an access code to connect to your school. And so if you have not done that yet and you need that, just shoot us an email and we'll get you that code so you can create your account. As I said, that's where you're tracking things. It's also where all of our training materials are. We have lesson plans, so I'm going to show you all of those pieces. So I am just going to go ahead and log into the Pro Center for one of our schools that is actually just no longer open. So we use it as a little test. These are all fake students. You're not seeing any real student information in here. When you get logged in, over on the right, you have a built-in demo account. And so clicking that link, the first time you do it, there's usually a pop-up blocker that you have to override, and then you shouldn't have to do that again on your device. But when you click on that demo account, you get to pick who you want to be. So you can pick whatever grade you want to see, and it's going to open a new tab and show you, here is my pop-up blocker that I will allow. And then it's going to let me in and show me what it looks like for a 12th grader is what I picked at my school. So you're going to see your initials up here that you are a student at this school, but you're seeing exactly what your students see. So you're going to see your ICAP name, however many activities are assigned to your 12th graders. It's all going to be exactly the same. And any work you do in here does not show up on reports. So this is just a place for you to click through, complete the activities, test it out, show it on the screen in front of the class as you're working through the ICAP activities together, however it's useful to you. But you're not going to hurt any reporting with it. And then the Pro Center tab is still open. So I want to show you through the different pieces here and what you're going to be finding there. We're going to start with students and groups. So you could come type in the name of a student, or you can say, who are my 12th grade students, browse by class, and clicking the student's last name is what's going to open that account up. So I'm going to click on this student. So I'm just looking at this one account, but I can see their username. I can see when they last logged in. This is the account I was just in, showing you around. So I've logged in today and what grade the account is in. And then it gives you a little bit of dashboard information. If you are a returning user, we have very exciting news for you. The ICAP banner is showing you just this year's ICAP. Last year, it was showing you a much larger number and it was not a very useful piece of information for you. So this is just showing you the current school year for this student, which will be much more useful for all of you. So as an educator, if I'm looking at this student and I click on this ICAP banner, it's going to show me a view very similar to what the student sees. So I'm still in my professional center, but now I'm seeing this student's progress bar, and I can scroll down and even see the pop-out box. It looks just almost identical. The only difference is in the Pro Center, you don't see the blue bars for the incomplete. You only see the green when it is complete, but everything else is the same. So I'm going to click back here. On this page, you also get a little preview of their email and how many times they've logged in, what the last activity they did was. And then very important over here on the right, though, is where you can reset a password for an individual student. So I could come type in and hit save and then say, okay, Jane, your new password is Oklahoma. Go log in, and it's going to prompt them to set a new password at that point. You also have these tabs across here in the blue sort of submenu for each student. So if you wanted to do a deeper dive and say, I know they were completing some career activities, I want to see what those are, you can come through and find all of these different pieces. What was the resume? Did they get that done? No, there's not anything in here. So you can look at it individually by the different sections as well. And then milestones, it was a new report last year that basically gives you an overview of the most common ICAP activities completed. Is there, a quick result that can be listed? Obviously, it can't show you everything. It can't put their full plan of study here on this page. We were trying to keep it pretty short. But this can be a really great piece if you just need kind of a one-pager to print for parent-teacher conferences or to share with special education coworkers for IEP meetings, or just having a discussion with a family about what their student wants to do. So that's all under milestones on the student profile. So I'm going to go back to students and groups and point out a couple other pieces. Your student accounts are automatically organized by grade level based on the graduation year. So if you just need to know something for all the 10th graders, something for all the 11th graders, that's already built automatically. They're sorted that way. You can also build groups beyond that. So maybe you have a homeroom teacher that's responsible for 20 students and they want to put them in a group and not see the whole class when they run a report. You can do that on students and groups. You can also create accounts for students ahead of time. So you can come in and pick a standard username format. You fill in an Excel spreadsheet with their name and date of birth and grad year and upload that, and it creates accounts for them. You also are able to merge duplicate accounts. If you notice a student has created 2 or 3, you can merge those together, pick which username is going to remain active and get all that work into one account. And then you can also release accounts. This is important, especially this time of year down here in the right-hand corner. If you're pulling up your accounts and seeing names of students that have transferred out, you can come in here and release those so that they drop off your reports and disconnect. You're not deleting that account, it just disconnects it from your school. That student can still log in and connect to their new school. We can move it to the new school. So you're not deleting any work they've done, but it gets it off your radar. Your next tab is reports. I'm going to run the ICAP report and show you what that looks like. I don't expect you to remember these clicks that we're going to go through right here, but you have a variety of reports available to you. If you wanted to come run the assessment results for just one, they took the interest profiler. I want to see what those results were for the whole class. Or I want to run the career cluster survey and see how many kids I have in each cluster and who are those students in each cluster. So you have individual activity reports, but under progress is the assignment and curriculum builder report. And that is your ICAP overview. So you get to come in and say, I want to see how my seniors are doing on their ICAP progress. And we have the step-by-step directions that I bet Asia has already put in the chat, or she's about to, that walk you through those clicks I just made. So you can do that when you're ready, follow those directions. But this is what your ICAP report looks like. So you get a graph at the top showing, activity 1, I have this many done, 2 has more than that. So you can kind of see what's if there's an activity that's falling behind as far as completion. Those numbers match up here to this list of activity names. So these are the 9 activities my school has assigned to seniors. I can see how many have completed them and what that completion rate is out of my school. And then down here at the bottom, these are my senior students. These are those same 9 activities that are numbered. If it's an empty box, it's incomplete. If there's a date in there, the student has completed that activity. So you can really quickly look across this report and go, okay, this second student here has finished everything, but the one below them has done nothing, but that's probably the same kid. I could go merge those accounts, right? Or, Jane here has done a couple of things, but she's not fully finished for the year. So your ICAP reports, typically you run for the grade level for the current school year, and that shows you what the progress is, where you maybe have some catch up to do. This is also the report you would be running for your accreditation officers. So if you're being asked to provide an ICAP report for an accreditation visit for 12th graders, this is what they're looking for, because it tells them you have the correct activities, you have at least the minimum activities listed, you have your students, they can see those completion dates. That's really what they're looking for. These are all links, so you could click on this and get back to Jane's account. You could click this and it would take you straight to the results for this activity, which is the ACT. So you can click through and get more details, but it's really just kind of your big picture. And then while we're here, I just want to mention, you may see on your ICAP a section called ICAP Recovery or missed activities or missed assessments. Many schools have basically built that into their ICAP. So as a student progresses year to year, if they missed something in a previous school year, they see that and they can get it caught up. So it's usually your assessments. Everything else catches itself up the way it's designed, just automatically. But in this case, for example, they were supposed to take the interest profiler in 9th grade. So I can see on activity 7, we've got some that have missed that. And so when they complete it this year as a senior, it gets them caught up and it fills in that completion date, and then they're on track. So if you see that or have questions about it, just let us know and we can look at it with you. But I just wanted to point out, you may see that section with some name about that, similar to that on your ICAP. And then next up is resources. Actually, we're going to come back to resources. I'm going to jump over to administration and show you that, and then we'll come back to resources here at the end. You mostly won't really need the communication tab. You can push out a message through OKcollegestart. Students cannot initiate a message to you, so you don't have to check an inbox here. And also I don't think we have any schools using that really. Like, you already have your systems for communicating, so it is there as an option if you needed it though. Colleges and Applications is a dashboard that if your students, there's a specific activity called My Colleges and Applications, that if your students were actively using that and listing, I applied to these 3 schools and I got accepted to this one and I'm waitlisted here, you would see all that here on this dashboard. But we don't have a ton of schools using that, so we'll skip over that for now. If you are the ICAP guru at your school, you're the ICAP lead, you want to make sure you have the administration tab. So if you log in your Pro Center and you don't, let us know, shoot us an email, and we can upgrade your access to have it. You can have as many administrators at your school as you need to. But this is where you can customize some different things. So the assignment and curriculum builder is your ICAP. That's the kind of overall name for it here. And so when you click on that, you will see a box for your school's ICAP, or what you should be seeing is at least a box, one or more, but usually one for your school's ICAP, and it should have bubbles here for that it's assigned to at least 9 through 12. If you're not seeing that, let us know. We'll help you get that sorted out, but that's what makes it visible to students and gives them that progress bar and the list of activities and everything. So you should be seeing a box for your school assigned to at least high school. You may also have some middle school, or maybe it's a different box for middle school. That's all totally fine. But just know that that's where you would be headed to make any changes to your ICAP. This is also where you can customize the plan of study. So on that grid where students were saying, here's what I'm taking in 9th grade and 10th grade, you can control what classes they see in a drop-down box for what are my 10th grade math options. You can control that. They can also just type in the course name, but you have the ability to customize that. You can also customize graduation requirements. The state requirements for the current 9th through 12th classes is what's available automatically in here for you. But if you want to add some other options, or if your requirements are different than the state minimums, we can help you customize those as well. And the programs of study allows you to pre-fill that grid for students. So you can, instead of them starting with a blank grid, you could already have it, part of it or all of it, filled in with your suggested course plan. So that's what happens here. The other thing I want to just quickly point out is you can add surveys to your ICAP, and that's a great way to customize. If you want to ask, we all had a career fair on this day, and I want your feedback on these 3 specific things. If you want to customize questions, essentially, you can build a survey, assign that as an ICAP activity, and then you have the option to then download the report that shows you all of those responses. If you're a returning counselor, the reports in the past were not great and you were having to do a lot of look at one student at a time to get those answers. That was all updated last spring. And so it's just you hit export and it gives you the full spreadsheet of all your students and all of their answers to each question. So definitely can be a great way to add some customized pieces to your ICAP. I want to just show you a couple slides here to wrap up our time together. Get to that. Everything we talk about is, you'll hear me say many times, look at the resources tab of the professional center. The directions for customizing both of those things are there, as well as some resources for your students. So when you click on resources, then it opens up this next little sub menu. Getting started is going to be the vendor. Zap is the vendor that runs all this behind the scenes, makes the website look nice and work well. They have resources and directions there for some of the bigger getting started pieces. There are lesson plans to help you incorporate these activities into the classroom if you want. And then ICAP resources, though, is going to be where you spend a lot of your time. These are pieces that are specific to Oklahoma that we've adjusted over the years to meet your needs. And so right off the top here are these student user guides. These have just been updated, so they look like the new website look. And it's going to be a PDF that opens and shows the student each click to make on the website to complete those activities. So if you want to share those in a Google Classroom or have one in your hand while you're helping a student or email those out, you're welcome to do any of that. We also added new slides that this actually, I think, got updated while we were in here. So we'll open it together and see if it's working. It is. So these are slides. It's a PDF. We're still working through how to get the PowerPoint available to you without having to just email it individually. So right now, if you want to be able to edit this, the directions on the first page just tell you to email us and we'll send you that. But it's slides with, again, step-by-step how students complete these activities. So if that would be helpful to you and your teachers. We're working on the videos, getting those updated. We'll have short videos for each ICAP activity you could show students as well. And then lots of training guides and resources for educators as well. So definitely check out the resources tab if you get stuck on anything. We do have a Facebook page. You're welcome to follow us there as well. And then I want to make sure you've heard this term ZAP. Again, that's who runs the site behind the scenes. And so if you need something and you can't catch me or Asia at our desk, you're also welcome to contact them. And we'll put this contact information in the follow-up email. They're super helpful. Let us know. I know I'm running over time here. So quickly, let me just say that we'll have in-person workshops in Enid, Oklahoma City, and Broken Arrow that you are welcome to bring your laptop and get logged in and get some help actually doing all these pieces. We've showed you everything that's possible. Then this is where we can spend some time helping you work through those steps to customize things. And then you can always request one-on-one Zoom training, or if you want to do training for a group at your school, we can come in person. So really just anytime you have a question about something, we know ICAP is such a tiny part of your job, but it's my full-time job. It's Asia's full-time job to work with OKcollegestart. And so please don't feel like you have to figure things out on your own. Just shoot us an email with your questions, and we will be happy to point you in the right direction and keep you moving, so you're not having to spend a ton of time figuring it out on your own. So we are at time, so if you need to jump off, please feel free. But Asia, if there are any other questions that we need to talk about, I'm happy to do that.
Yes.
Okay.
I did jot them down, but since we're already here, I just want to make sure that this is answered correctly, so I'm giving it to you.
Okay.
A senior who has not completed any ICAP all 4 years of high school, do they need to go back and complete all tasks for each year, or just complete the required for their senior year?
So that answer is going to depend on how your ICAP is set up. Let me show you. If you have an ICAP recovery section on your ICAP, then they would just stay on the current school year and finish those out. So this student is a 12th grader. They have to update their goals. They put in their scores. They need to update their plan. These are their senior assessments. The school has two. They've got their work-based learning. And then this student is looking at this saying, okay, I did my interest profiler and I did my career cluster survey, but I missed this 10th grade basic skills. So it's in this scenario, the student is just on their 12th grade ICAP here, and this is getting them caught up. If your school doesn't have it set up that way, and so you're not seeing a recovery section or missed activities, something along those lines, then the student would need to make those up, because ultimately, yes, the student has to have 4 assessments before they graduate. They should have 4 goals or have interacted with it 4 times, have their full plan of study with all 4 years listed. So you do have to get it caught up. So if you want to shoot us an email, or you put that in the chat, we can see who said that. We can look at your specific ICAP and clarify for you whether or not you have the recovery section already listed.
Yes, I already wrote down the person and the
Perfect.
school name.
Okay.
Another one is about if the school can get ZAP transcripts back to send transcripts to colleges since parchment has been done away.
Yeah, so probably everyone is aware now, hopefully. The State Department of Education's contract with Parchment ended, or is ending here in the next few days. We do not currently have a statewide transcript option available through OKcollegestart and Zap. And as of right now, we don't believe we will have a statewide option for you. So if you want to purchase transcripts on your own, you can do that through Parchment. There is an option to purchase transcripts through Zap. It's different than it was in the old days. For those of you, old days, it was not that long ago. But for those of you that were around when we did previously have transcripts, it's not going to be exactly the same setup or system, but there is an option to purchase transcripts through Zap. So it would be in your professional center that you got to all of that. So if you want the information about that, we can send you like what that pricing looks like and a little bit more information about it. And if you want to schedule a demo or any of that, we can get you with Zap as the vendor, and they would be happy to show you those pieces. So just let us know if you want that information, but we do not anticipate that we will have a statewide option just built in and free to you, unfortunately.
Okay, and then one more, asking about student accounts. So switching from one school to the next, will the school need to wait until their previous school releases the account, or have them create a new account with their new school?
Yeah, so you do not have to wait for an account to be released. If the student, hold your laughter here, but if the student knows their username and password from their last school, they can go ahead and log in, and it's actually going to prompt them the first time they log in this school year to say, are you still connected to, Bremen? And they can say, no, and pick the new school, and it will move it over. We understand that is also not how the world works, and very rarely does a student remember their username and password from the last school. You can reach out to us and say, hey, we've got, Jane Smith from this other school. Can we move her account over? Sometimes we need the date of birth to track it down, especially if it's a common name, but we can move that account over for you. Or you can say to a student, if you can figure out how to get logged into your old account and move it over here, great. If not, we're going to start you a new account and you're going to have to repeat some of that work. That's really up to you. Schools handle that differently, just how they like to work with students and how much ownership they want the student to take over the ICAP. So if you're having trouble tracking down an account and it would be easier for us to just look and see where is it and move it and get you the login information, just shoot us an email and we can do that for you as well.
Okay, that's it.
All right. Thank you guys so much. We appreciate you joining us. I know it's a lot of information. So again, just please feel free to let us know when you have questions throughout the year. You'll get a monthly email from us, kind of a newsletter. We sent one out this morning just with updates, reminders throughout the year. Today's was pretty long. They're usually not that long. So we try to keep it short just to kind of give you the nitty-gritty of what you need as you go through the year, but please just reach out anytime you need something, and we will be happy to help you throughout the year. Good luck with the beginning of your school year.